The Forgotten Code. In the heart of the sprawling metropolis of Neo-Terra, a young historian named Aiden was engrossed in his research at the Grand Archive. Among the vast digital records and holographic displays, he stumbled upon a peculiar manuscript, its pages worn and yellowed with age. Unlike the other documents, this one was written in a language long extinct, a language that spoke of an ancient order known as the Knights, who were revered for their unwavering dedication to justice and honor. Intrigued by the mysterious text, Aiden began to translate it, discovering tales of valor and chivalry that had been forgotten over the centuries. The concept of a knight had no alien equivalent. It was uniquely human, rooted in a deep sense of morality and a code of ethics that transcended time. As Aiden delved deeper, he realized that these ancient values were more relevant than ever, especially in a galaxy teetering on the brink of chaos. Determined to revive the lost ideals of knighthood, Aiden set out on a journey across the galaxy to understand why these principles had vanished and how they could be restored. His quest led him to distant planets, where he encountered various alien species, none of whom had a concept similar to the human knight. They respected strength, strategy, and intelligence, but the idea of selfless honor was foreign to them. As Aiden's journey continued, he faced skepticism from many, including his own people, who viewed his mission as a futile endeavor. In a galaxy dominated by advanced technology and ruthless tactics, the ancient code of knighthood seemed outdated and impractical. Yet, Aiden remained steadfast in his resolve, convinced that the key to preserving humanity's essence lay in these forgotten values. Meanwhile, a shadowy force known as the Void Collective began to emerge from the far reaches of space. This mysterious enemy was unlike any other, cold, calculating, and devoid of compassion. Their ultimate goal was to engulf the galaxy in darkness, and their advanced technology made them nearly unstoppable. The Sentinels, the galaxy's primary defense force, were ill-equipped to combat this new threat. As the situation grew dire, Aiden realized that the ancient wisdom of the Knights held the key to defeating the Void Collective. He returned to Neo-Terra, rallying a small group of Sentinels who were willing to embrace the old ways. Together, they began to merge the principles of chivalry with modern warfare tactics, creating a new strategy that combined honor with innovation. Through courage, sacrifice, and unwavering resolve, Aiden and his followers embarked on a perilous mission to confront the Void Collective. The battle that ensued was fierce, but the Sentinels, inspired by the timeless ideals of knighthood, fought with a renewed sense of purpose. Their unity and dedication to justice proved to be their greatest strength, turning the tide of the conflict. In the end, the Sentinels emerged victorious, reclaiming their role as the protectors of peace and justice in the galaxy. The legacy of the Knights, once thought to be lost, was reborn, echoing through the stars as a beacon of hope for all who sought to defend the light against the encroaching darkness. The shadow of the void. As the galaxy began to recover from the threat of the Void Collective, Aiden's newfound order of modern knights faced a new challenge, maintaining their relevance in a rapidly changing universe. The victory over the Void Collective had proven that the ancient code of knighthood still held power, but not everyone was convinced that these values should guide the future. Aiden's small group of Sentinels, now known as the Order of the Resurgent Knights, continued to grow in number and influence. They were dedicated to upholding the principles of honor, courage, and justice, even as the galaxy around them embraced a more pragmatic and sometimes ruthless approach to survival. However, their ideals soon put them at odds with other factions who believed that the old ways were a hindrance rather than a help. One such faction was the Technocrat Alliance, a powerful group that valued efficiency and progress above all else. Led by the enigmatic and highly intelligent Commander Zara, the Technocrats believed that the only way to ensure the survival of the galaxy was through the unrelenting pursuit of technological advancement. They saw the Order of the Resurgent Knights as a relic of the past, clinging to outdated notions that had no place in the modern world. As tensions between the two groups grew, Aiden found himself in a difficult position. He respected the technocrats' achievements and understood their perspective, but he was also deeply committed to preserving the moral compass that the knights represented. Aiden knew that a balance had to be struck between progress and tradition, but finding that balance would not be easy. The situation reached a boiling point when the Technocrat Alliance launched a campaign to discredit the Order of the Resurgent Knights. They'd portrayed Aiden and his followers as naive idealists who were more concerned with old stories than with the real challenges facing the galaxy. Public opinion began to turn against the Knights, and their influence waned. Despite the growing opposition, Aiden refused to abandon his mission. He continued to train new recruits, instilling in them the values of the ancient knights while also teaching them how to adapt these principles to the modern world. Aiden believed that the true strength of the knights lay not in their adherence to tradition, but in their ability to inspire others to act with honor and integrity, no matter the circumstances. As the Order of the Resurgent Knights struggled to maintain their foothold, a new threat loomed on the horizon, one that would test their resolve and force them to confront the darkest aspects of their own humanity. The Void Collective, though defeated, had not been entirely destroyed. Fragments of their consciousness had survived, and they were slowly regrouping, preparing to strike again. This time, however, the Void Collective had learned from their previous defeat. They began to manipulate the galaxy from the shadows, sowing discord and division among its inhabitants. They infiltrated the highest levels of government, corrupted leaders with promises of power, and turned allies against each other. Their goal was to weaken the galaxy from within, making it easier to conquer when they finally revealed themselves. As the galaxy teetered on the brink of chaos once again, Aiden knew that the Order of the Resurgent Knights would have to act quickly if they were to prevent another catastrophe. He also realized that they could not do it alone. The time had come to seek out new allies and forge unexpected alliances in the fight against the darkness. The Alliance of Light. Facing the growing threat of the Void Collective's resurgence, Aiden and the Order of the Resurgent Knights embarked on a mission to rally the galaxy's remaining defenders. The task was daunting, as the void left by the previous battle had created a power vacuum, with various factions vying for control. Trust was in short supply, and the galaxy was more divided than ever. Aiden knew that the key to victory lay in unity, but convincing others of this truth would be no easy feat. He decided to start with those who had the most to lose if the Void Collective succeeded: the Outer Rim colonies, home to countless alien species who had suffered greatly during the first invasion. These colonies, though distant from the central planets, were crucial to the galaxy's overall defense, and their support would be invaluable. Traveling to the Outer Rim, Aiden met with the leaders of the colonies, including Vora, a fierce and respected warrior from the Draxian species, and Sira, a skilled diplomat from the Tikali. Both leaders were skeptical of Aiden's intentions, having heard rumors of the Resurgent Knights' supposed elitism and adherence to outdated principles. However, after witnessing the Knights' dedication to justice and protection firsthand, they began to reconsider. During a tense negotiation session, Aiden made his case for an alliance. He spoke of the Knights' commitment to honor and their belief that every species, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, had a role to play in the galaxy's defense. His words resonated with Vora and Sira, who saw in Aiden a genuine desire to unite the galaxy against a common enemy. Reluctantly at first, the Outer Rim colonies agreed to join forces with the Resurgent Knights. Together, they formed the Alliance of Light, a coalition of warriors, diplomats, and strategists dedicated to stopping the Void Collective's return. It was a fragile alliance, held together by a shared sense of duty and a mutual understanding that survival depended on cooperation. As the Alliance of Light prepared for the coming conflict, Aiden and his knights faced new challenges. They had to learn to work alongside species with vastly different cultures, languages, and fighting styles. Misunderstandings were common, and tensions often ran high. But through patience, perseverance, and a willingness to learn from one another, the alliance slowly began to coalesce into a formidable force. In the meantime, the Void Collective continued their insidious campaign, spreading fear and paranoia across the galaxy. Their agents planted seeds of doubt within the ranks of the Alliance, hoping to fracture the fragile coalition before it could fully take shape. It became clear that the final battle would not be fought solely on the battlefield, but in the hearts and minds of those who had pledged to stand against the darkness. As the Alliance of Light grew stronger, so too did the threat posed by the Void Collective. The time was fast approaching when the two forces would clash in a decisive confrontation, one that would determine the fate of the galaxy. Aiden knew that the outcome would depend not just on military might, but on the strength of their convictions and the unity of their cause. With the weight of the galaxy on his shoulders, Aiden prepared to lead the Alliance of Light into battle. The legacy of the Knights, once thought to be lost, now stood as a beacon of hope in the face of overwhelming darkness. The final confrontation with the Void Collective would test everything the Alliance had fought for, and the stakes had never been higher. The gathering storm. The Alliance of Light, now a formidable force, prepared for the impending showdown with the Void Collective. The unity forged between the Outer Rim colonies and the resurgent Knights had brought a renewed sense of hope to the galaxy. However, Aiden knew that this fragile alliance could easily be shattered by the insidious tactics of the Void Collective. As the days passed, Aiden and his inner circle worked tirelessly to solidify their defenses. The Alliance established a network of communication across the galaxy, ensuring that all member worlds could coordinate their efforts effectively. They developed new strategies, combining the ancient wisdom of the Knights with the cutting-edge technology of their allies. Aiden's vision of a unified force was beginning to take shape, but he knew that the true test was yet to come. Meanwhile, the Void Collective intensified their psychological warfare. Through subterfuge and manipulation, they sowed seeds of doubt and fear within the ranks of the Alliance. Rumors of betrayal and corruption spread like wildfire, eroding trust among the allies. The Void Collective knew that a divided enemy was easier to conquer, and they exploited every opportunity to weaken the Alliance from within. Aiden recognized a threat posed by these internal divisions. He called a council of the Alliance's leaders to address the growing unrest. The meeting took place on the planet Corvinus, a neutral world known for its grand assembly halls and ancient wisdom. Leaders from across the galaxy gathered, their faces etched with worry and uncertainty. The council chamber buzzed with tension as Aiden took the floor. He spoke with a calm yet determined voice, reminding the gathered leaders of the common goal that had brought them together. He acknowledged the challenges they faced and the fears that had been stirred by the Void Collective's machinations. But Aiden also emphasized that their strength lay in their unity, in the bonds of trust and honor they had forged. "We are not just fighting for survival," Aiden declared, his voice resonating through the chamber. "We are fighting for the very soul of the galaxy. The Void Collective seeks to tear us apart, to make us doubt one another. But we cannot allow fear to dictate our actions. We must stand together, not just as an alliance of worlds, but as a family united by a shared purpose." His words struck a chord with the leaders present. Vora, the Draxian warrior, stood and pledged her people's unwavering support. Syra, the Takali diplomat, spoke of the trust that had been built between their species and the resurgent Knights. One by one, the leaders reaffirmed their commitment to the Alliance of Light, vowing to resist the Void Collective's attempts to divide them. The Council's renewed resolve marked a turning point for the Alliance. The leaders left Corvinus with a strengthened sense of purpose, determined to face the coming storm with courage and unity. Aiden knew that the battle ahead would be the greatest test of their resolve, but he also believed that they had the strength to prevail. As the Alliance of Light mobilized for war, the Void Collective prepared their final assault. The remnants of their fleet, rebuilt and enhanced with new technologies, gathered in the uncharted regions of space. Their leader, an enigmatic being known only as the Void Lord, had studied the Alliance's strategies and knew their weaknesses. The Void Collective was determined to crush their enemies once and for all. The stage was set for a climactic battle that would determine the fate of the galaxy. Aiden and the Resurgent Knights led the charge, their hearts steeled by the knowledge that they were fighting for something greater than themselves. The Alliance of Light, a coalition of diverse species united by a common cause, faced the Void Collective with unyielding determination. As the two forces clashed in the darkness of space, the galaxy held its breath. The outcome of this battle would shape the future for generations to come. Would the Alliance of Light stand as a beacon of hope, or would the Void Collective plunge the galaxy into eternal darkness? The final confrontation, the battle between the Alliance of Light and the Void Collective, raged across the galaxy. Fleets of starships clashed in the void, their weapons blazing as they fought for dominance. On the ground, armies of soldiers, both organic and mechanical, engaged in brutal combat on war-torn planets. The conflict spread to every corner of the galaxy, with no world untouched by the violence. In the heart of the chaos, Aiden led the resurgent Knights in a daring assault on the Void Collective's central command. The Knights, armed with both ancient weapons and modern technology, fought with the ferocity of their ancestors. They moved with precision and discipline, their every action guided by the principles of honor and justice. The Void Collective, however, was a relentless foe. Their advanced technology and ruthless tactics pushed the Alliance to the brink. The Void Lord, shrouded in darkness, directed the battle with cold, calculated efficiency. He sought to overwhelm the Alliance with sheer force, exploiting every weakness and hesitation. As the battle intensified, Aiden and his Knights reached the core of the Void Collective's command center. They faced wave after wave of enemy soldiers, each more formidable than the last. The air crackled with energy as laser fire and plasma swords clashed in a deadly dance. Aiden's heart pounded as he led his Knights deeper into the enemy stronghold. They knew that the fate of the galaxy rested on their shoulders. If they could defeat the Void Lord, the tide of the battle would turn in the Alliance's favor. But the Void Lord was no ordinary foe. He was a being of immense power, driven by a singular purpose: to consume all light and life in the galaxy. Finally, the Knights reached the inner sanctum of the Void Collective's command center. The chamber was vast and foreboding, its walls lined with dark, pulsating energy. At the center of the room stood the Void Lord, his form obscured by a swirling cloak of darkness. His presence was overwhelming, a palpable force that seemed to drain the very light from the room. Aiden stepped forward, his sword drawn and his eyes fixed on the Void Lord. "This ends now," he declared, his voice steady despite the tension in the air. "You will not destroy the galaxy. We will stop you." The Void Lord laughed, a deep, resonant sound that echoed through the chamber. "You are a fool, Aiden," he said, his voice dripping with contempt. "You cling to your outdated notions of honor and justice, but they are meaningless in the face of true power. I will consume you, and your precious alliance will crumble." With a wave of his hand, the Void Lord unleashed a torrent of dark energy. The Knights braced themselves as the force slammed into them, threatening to tear them apart. But Aiden stood firm, his resolve unshaken. He drew upon the ancient wisdom of the Knights, focusing his mind and body as he channeled his own energy into his sword. The two forces collided in a blinding flash of light and darkness. The battle between Aiden and the Void Lord was fierce, a clash of wills as much as a clash of weapons. The Void Lord's power was immense, but Aiden fought with the strength of 1,000 generations of Knights. He wielded his sword with precision and grace, every strike infused with the principles of honor and justice. As the battle raged on, Aiden's determination began to weaken the Void Lord's defenses. The dark energy that had once seemed impenetrable began to waver, cracks forming in the Void Lord's armor. The Knights, inspired by Aiden's courage, fought with renewed vigor, pushing back the forces of the Void Collective. In a final, desperate move, the Void Lord unleashed a surge of energy, hoping to overwhelm Aiden and the Knights. But Aiden, drawing on the last reserves of his strength, countered with a powerful strike that pierced the Void Lord's defenses. The Void Lord let out a roar of rage and pain as his form began to dissolve, consumed by the very darkness he had sought to wield. With the Void Lord defeated, the remaining forces of the Void Collective fell into disarray. The Alliance of Light seized the opportunity to strike, driving the enemy back and reclaiming the galaxy from the clutches of darkness. The battle was long and costly, but in the end, the Alliance emerged victorious. As the dust settled, Aiden and the resurgent knights stood amidst the ruins of the Void Collective's command center. The battle was over, but the war had left its mark on the galaxy. The Alliance of Light had prevailed, but the scars of the conflict would take time to heal. The dawn of a new era. The defeat of the Void Collective marked the beginning of a new era for the galaxy. The Alliance of Light, forged in the crucible of war, became a symbol of hope and unity. The values of honor, justice, and courage that had guided the resurgent knights now served as the foundation for a new order, one dedicated to preserving peace and protecting the galaxy from future threats. Aiden, hailed as a hero, was offered a position of great power within the newly formed Galactic Council. But he declined, choosing instead to continue his work as a knight, guiding the next generation of leaders and warriors. He knew that the true strength of the galaxy lay not in its leaders, but in the people who carried the torch of justice and honor in their hearts. The Alliance of Light, now a beacon of hope, set about rebuilding the worlds devastated by the war. They offered aid and support to those who had suffered, helping to restore what had been lost. The galaxy, once divided and fearful, began to heal under the watchful eyes of the resurgent knights. In the years that followed, the legend of the resurgent knights grew, their deeds inspiring countless others to follow in their footsteps. The story of their struggle against the Void Collective became a tale told across the stars, a reminder of the power of unity and the importance of standing up against the darkness. Aiden's legacy lived on through the knights he trained, each one carrying forward the ideals of honor, justice, and courage. The galaxy, once on the brink of annihilation, now thrived under the protection of the Alliance of Light. The resurgent knights, ever vigilant, remained the guardians of peace, ready to face any challenge that might arise. As Aiden looked out at the stars, he knew that the fight for justice and peace was never truly over. But he also knew that as long as there were those who believed in the light, the galaxy would endure. The dawn of a new era had arrived, and with it, the promise of a brighter future.